Hi everyone, Namaste. Welcome to another episode of Pawcast with Sneha, powered by Oh My Dog. Today, like every other week, we have another special set of guests, and we have a duo today, Lalita and Ramki. Both of them are here today to be part of this podcast, and they are full-time pet fosters and rescuers at the moment. But Lalita is a lawyer by profession, but it's been over 20 years now that she has moved from that profession to a medical transcription related profession. Although I have known them more as animal people and completely into rescuing and fostering and animal welfare. Ramki has been into the IT industry for most of his life, and he's retired at the moment, but both of them are very hands-on with animal when it comes to animals, and very knowledgeable. A lot of things that I know also after I started Oh My Dog has been by my interaction through them. They've been part of all our adoption drives till now, and as you can see, Miney is a part of this gang, and they are both here today to grace us here, and I'm very happy to have both of you here. Thank you so much for being a part of podcast.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Definitely our pleasure.
Thank you. No, I really wanted to have you both here because you all are such an inspiration to me as a person, and I think a lot of people who know you and the work that you do, you definitely are a big inspiration, because it takes a lot of courage at this age. Not to say that you are anything less than young, of course, but definitely to come out of your professional life. You could have just laid back and relaxed and spent it not doing anything, right? But you chose to work for a cause because of your love for animals, and you have rehomed and given your home, opened up your homes to so many dogs. One of my favorites being Dobby. He was very lucky to spend such a long time with you guys. I'm very happy to have you and have some great conversations.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yes. I just wanted to start off by asking that, wait, I've lost the questions. That you both have had such diverse professional journeys like law, IT, etc. How did animals first find a way into your already busy lives? What was that first starting point?
I think both of us have had there's been a background with animal love, I can say. Of course, dogs, mostly dogs, right?
Yes.
Because that's what we've been exposed to. I've always been fond of dogs. I think there was a picture of me as a 1.5-year-old girl, in the public garden with a puppy on my lap.
Oh.
So that was I would just go grab, any dog and thing. I mean, so that thing was there. And then, of course, I've come from a family of dog lovers, both, my grandparents, from my grandparents it has come. And so it's been part of, our DNA.
Same story here, literally. In childhood, I had a dog, and it was an inside-outside dog.
Right.
Yep. And my hometown also, there was always one dog
somewhere.
If he passed away, then some other replacement would come. And so it was a constant thing till Sony passed away. Then, of course, I took a break from it.
I think one thing is, so I grew up with dogs. So basically, we had dogs, but then the responsibility of having your own dog, like as a grown up, so that took some time because we were busy with professions and all that. So I think when we met, we started dating and thing. I think it was kind of very obvious that both of us would have a dog in our lives eventually. I mean, when the situation is right. And I think it came about in 2013 when I had transitioned to a work from home work situation, and we had moved into our own place because earlier rented place, not allowed, so we had a deal that we would get a dog, but then
we knew it was a full-time responsibility.
Yes.
And then that kind of meant somebody had to be at home.
All the time.
We could have both of us going out to work, and it just happened that she got this opportunity of work from home.
Yeah, it just works out, I think, for animal people.
Things fell in place. Work from home happened, and our own home
happened. So we said, okay. So in fact, that was the first point on the agenda actually for us.
We had to work from home earlier. But then, the landlord
didn't allow us and all.
strict no to any
Dogs.
pets or anything.
Right.
I think, yeah. So it was just
It was a very natural
thing. Yeah. It was natural, and it was adopting our first dog was a very considered decision for us. Like we said, okay, now we are going to adopt.
Right,
That's that's the thing. So I guess, yeah, we went the conventional way. We looked up an adoption post,
Right.
and
Luckily, both of us were on the same page that it had to be.
Yes.
Indeed, yeah.
That's wonderful. Because I think this was when in the early
2013.
2013.
2013 was when we decided to get our first dog, and we were very clear. We
that
said
it has to be an Indian.
because in fact one of our friend offered to get us a golden retriever puppy, and we said no, we don't want one.
So that's amazing, because if you and your partner are always on the same page, it makes decisions so much easier. And I mean, I think it's such a courageous thing to go for an India, because even today in 2025, people are so still not very open to the idea of adopting an Indian. There are so many pedigree dogs being bought and then left behind also. So yeah, I mean, hats off to you for taking that decision and taking a very conscious decision, and not adopting it at a whim, and just you did it when you were ready for doing it, basically. Yeah. What was your first pet's name? Was
Momo.
And my
my second pet is Momo. So we share that in common.
Yeah. So what was it about him, or that first adoption moment, that kind of changed something inside you? Or then, how do I say, your further decisions, like kind of made you think more about fostering and all of that?
Yeah. So I think with Momo, I just looked at his adoption post and fell in love with him. He had these striking light eyes, and there was this one line in their post which said he was very brave at the vets. Okay. So we got to know later that his leg had been run over, and his foster family had, taken him to the vet, and he was very brave there. And then he recovered under them, and then they put him up for adoption. So that was one thing that, when you're scrolling past adoption posts, you keep coming back to one because that you connect with it. So that's the connection I had. And then of course we met him, and he was a very, energetic fellow. He was running here and there, not even making eye contact with us. So I had this, little romantic idea of, when the right puppy comes along, bells will chime and, violins will play and, we'll know, okay, this is, the moment and all. That didn't happen. And I was like, are you sure this is the fellow for us? And then of course,
it was this little brown guy running around the street, marking everywhere possible. And then for me, it was something like I couldn't sense it at first, but when I got home later on, and then she started her thing of, oh, I don't think this dog is for us. He's not coming to me, kind of. I'm like, that's a puppy.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be playful.
Yeah.
And, he is not supposed to be bothered about human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not some thing where he's going to act and then say, like me, and take me home. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And later on that night, for whatever reason, the same scene of him running around kind of took me back in time to my childhood.
Yes.
Where my first dog, Sony, used to behave the same. We were staying in an independent house back in those days. There were no flats.
Right.
So we had an independent house with a whole empty plot behind, almost the size of the house. And Sony was the inside-outside dog.
Yeah.
It was basically a city.
Yeah. Like how it used to be in older times.
So you would come in and then go. And for some reason, I felt that this guy has come back again. I said, okay, this is it.
Yes.
And that kind of sealed it for me. I said, okay.
So his thing to me was, I don't see anything wrong with him. I think we should get him. That was his thing. And I said, yeah, of course. I mean, I wanted him, but it was just that little, what do you say? I would say I was naive with it. Maybe, I watched too many movies and,
like, that's pets. What I think all the pets does, because we as humans try to look for validation even from them. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
We always feel like, oh, even today I feel like I'm feeding Momo, I'm feeding Miney, but they all go running towards Abhishek, you know, and I am the one who's working so hard behind you. So I need that validation. But they don't really think like that.
But then, of course, we went and met him again.
Yeah.
And again. And by then, we said it was sealed, like, we wanted him. And we, between the meeting him first and bringing him home, it took about a couple of weeks because they wanted to make sure his vaccinations were done.
Right.
And so when I went to pick up, so I went alone. He was at work. I went to pick him up, and I had taken an auto, and I was sitting in the auto, and the foster mama, she lifted him and put him on my lap. And I cannot tell you, that was the moment I felt it. I just felt, I was hugging him tight. It was a very bumpy auto ride home, and I was just holding on to him tight. And that was the transformative moment for me, because I just suddenly I felt I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And this is my baby.
Yes.
And then all those doubts vanished. I can't tell you, it was one of those epiphany kind of moments I had. Then I said, this is my guy, this is my baby, and I'm going to take care of it.
Yes.
That's it. It just came.
Yes.
And he had already reached that point. And I took some time.
For women, I think that feeling of nurturing has to come, at that, and then you feel like, oh yes, this is the right decision.
Yeah.
And what was his story? What was Momo's story? How?
So I think he was in Koramangala. They had his foster family, they actually had a studio there. They used to make ad films and all.
Okay.
So he used to be hanging around there, I think, and he was sleeping, and I think one car reversed and backed over his leg. He was tiny. He must have been about maybe 3-4 months then. And these people were there, so they went and they had 2 dogs. Kalpana was the name of the foster mama. So they had 2 dogs. So she immediately they went. The moment they heard him cry, then they took him to the vet and got an X-ray. Thankfully, nothing was broken, but he had a muscular thing. So they just said he needs rest. So then they took him in. They fostered him. They made him, all right, and then put him up for adoption. So in those days, CUPA used to have a CUPA adoption page on Facebook.
Yeah.
So all adoptions would go through them, as in, even though you're an individual rescuer. So ultimately, I had to write to CUPA and say that I'm interested in this dog. And the thing is, he fit our profile very well, because we wanted a 5 to 6 month old dog, because we were both, a little nervous about getting a very small puppy. And at the same time, we wanted a puppy, So, so 5 to 6 months, and it just fit the profile.
What was the preconceived notion? Probably that, if you get something at a puppy stage, they will bond better. And now,
we know better.
Much more enlightened. So
yes. I was just coming.
It doesn't matter
I was just coming to that question, because every time I've seen mostly you guys have taken in adult dogs or dogs who have gone through some kind of a trauma. So was that a conscious decision, or was it like something? Is it even now something which automatically, like organically happens?
So it's actually circumstantial, because our Snowy, the older he gets, the more crankier he gets because of his deafness. So so we have to bring in fosters whom Snowy respects.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
So
there are some criteria. Yeah. So there is a particular size that he doesn't mess with. And, older dogs, because they are more mature, they know how to react, how to defend themselves against a dog which is
adjust
not
also,
territorial.
I think.
And adjust.
So with puppies have this habit of sneaking from behind, and their little feet are quite sharp. So
I mean, basically,
a 9-month-old puppy or a 9-month plus puppy is better suited to our current troop of dogs rather than
no, even I feel like, I mean, I've obviously not as experienced as you people are, but with my 2 dogs now, and I've also, my first dog was a puppy, so that time, I mean, I knew that what puppyhood entails, like, just like an infant. I mean, so many things you have to just train them from scratch and things like that. And now I feel, because when I had both of them have been like grown up. Mine was almost 10 months old when I had her. Momo is almost 5 years old now. So, I realize now, and I also advise people now, that it's much better if you are going to adopt dogs, I think it's more convenient to have adult dogs or slightly older dogs, not the very smaller ones, because like you said, they adjust better, they have a better temperament. Even the bonding becomes better, I feel.
Whereas in the early days, Momo was an extremely good foster brother. I mean, he was the one who would socialize the puppies. I mean, he would teach them, how to. When even the scariest little puppy which came in, give it a week with Momo, and then that puppy would become a brat.
The personality will change,
Yes.
So
it's very similar to her.
So
confident and
at that
the
time,
same.
our thought process was, okay, these puppies, if they have to get adopted, they need to learn
Social.
to live with humans.
Yes.
They need to learn how to live with other dogs.
Correct.
And having somebody like Momo was just a perfect fit.
Yes.
When Snowy was small enough.
Yeah, that's why, I mean.
And Momo was, Snowy respected Momo.
Yes.
So whatever Momo did,
everybody listened.
Had to accept. I mean,
he was the alpha.
Momo was the alpha dog.
Yeah.
Then we had Dumbledore who came a little later.
1.5 years later.
1.5 years later. And Dumbledore kind of, indirectly played the mama dog. In a sense, like,
yes,
he was huge, soft. So most of the puppies would go cuddle against him. They would feel really warm and cozy.
Yeah.
So between Momo and Dumble playing
themselves,
the teaching role, one the comforting role.
Yes,
it was
a perfect
made
fit.
in heaven for puppies.
Right.
And I know she got a reputation as puppy foster.
Oh,
yeah.
Amazing.
Our initial days,
most of our things would be when we had some who had barely opened their eyes.
Yeah, we had neonates also.
Neonates where she was literally bottle feeding the goat.
That milk through the night.
The goat wasn't there. The goat brand wasn't there. So we actually used to get Cerelac wheat and full, and then dilute it.
Oh wow.
So I remember those days, and we also didn't know how to take care of them because Momo was not that tiny a puppy, so we didn't have that experience. But then I used to actually, I've called other, experienced rescuers and asked them, how do you take care of such a small puppy? And they'd given me instructions on the phone. Do this, do this.
Bottle feed, it was a proper feed.
Yeah. That's small.
That's how we used to.
Yeah.
So that is there. And I think, as you said, how did they come to us? I think as time passed, we also decided that we will foster a dog that really needs it. I mean, of late, that's what our thing has been, that, a dog which nobody else is really taking in and which needs a thing. Because what we like to do is we like to concentrate on that one foster and do everything possible to get the dog adopted. So we
was also kind of mind shift.
More of a quality than quantity.
Yes, definitely.
The thing was, okay, not many people know how to handle a puppy. Not they are not capable of, but they are just too scared, or a lot of times people feel hesitant to ask for help. So this is the category where we said we can do a value add in the puppy space. Slowly after that, it changed into which dogs need some kind of looking after a trauma.
Correct.
We went through a phase of trauma dogs.
Injury or sickness,
that
kind of thing.
And either, most of the time it would be some surgical intervention
or fracture
care,
or
special care,
including she would do a little bit of physiotherapy and that kind of thing. So we went through a phase of 7 or 8 fosters who are only trauma dogs, either human inflicted or an accident case. And then finally, I think there was a little bit of time where we were getting the abandoned cases. It was an emotional trauma.
Oh wow!
From physical trauma, then we went into the emotional trauma kind of cases, and then it came down to when Momo kind of became old, and then Snowy took over the alpha.
Yeah.
So that's when
it's like a legacy.
So but Snowy has always been, he's a little territorial. Being deaf, his responses are a little weird. So a little unpredictable, I would say. So we decided this was the right thing, that adult dog who understands, to stay away from Snowy. So then we started, looking at that. So if anyone approached us for fostering, we would ask them these questions. How big is the dog? And is it, does it understand if the other dog growls? Because puppies don't understand that.
I would say over the last 12 years, we have gone through phases of things where we thought, okay, this is the best fit for the incoming foster and for us.
Correct.
And who needs it most? And are we capable of doing justice to it? And we don't want to, well, at least personally, I was strongly against saying, okay, we are not looking for, I want to foster because it emotionally fills a gap.
Right.
And it does.
Right, of course.
The concept of, are we really making a difference
to them?
Life?
Yeah. No, I think it's amazing because this is like an evolution, right, with time. And first it was more of your own arrangement at the place. Then when you had fosters and your own dogs, then it was about your and their comfort and their dynamic also. So it's obviously like a very natural evolution, I would say, in terms of this. And that's why I also kind of, whenever I think of you both, I think of like you all are like these veterans and this legacy building fosters, because I mean, very few people have that. I mean, I'm sure there are many such couples like you yourself, but I haven't met so many, because, and it's a wonderful transition because you are giving a second chance for all of these animals. And of course, like the abandoned or emotional trauma, physical trauma, for humans as well as for animals. That's where I'm trying to bridge the gap. They need special care. And only a specialized set of people with that kind of mindset, that kind of experience can give that to you or to a dog. So I mean, I can see how naturally it works also for you guys. All of those dogs who've gone through trauma have been in a much better place when they came to you. And obviously, as long as they survived, or as long as they got to get to a new home, they were very happy and they were very settled in that way. And I think even dogs need that when they come out of trauma, that feeling of settlement. So that's very important. And I hope you can keep doing this. It acts as a tremendous amount of inspiration for me, because someday in my life I would want to do that. Because for me, my partner is now on the same page, but he is not someone who grew up with small pets. He grew up with larger animals, like they've had cows and cattle and things like that. But I have grown up with dogs, cats around me. So but my entire childhood, I was not allowed to keep pets at home. That was the conditioning that I had. And I kind of literally, like, I was very it kind of impacted my life a lot, because I really wanted and I was not allowed to. So and now I have seen my parents also kind of transform. My mother transforming from that fear of dogs to loving the dogs. My sister transforming. So I've seen that transition, and I'm very proud of myself for being able to do that, because I didn't get to do that as a child. So I'm trying my level best to now kind of get into that complete phase with time.
Nice.
So Dumbledore, Minnu, Bolt, all the other Snowy, right? And Momo, of course. Each one seems to have arrived at just the right time in your life, like how we were thinking. They were all, seemed like all match made in heaven, perfect timing and everything. So do you believe that rescues find us rather than the other way around?
I think it's 100% true.
I think it's true.
Yeah. Like they kind of come around.
I just keep telling her, either we are paying past debts.
Past janma.
Karma. You owe somebody something, and this is a way of paying it back. Or they are coming into life because they have something that we are supposed to do, or we are supposed to learn, and they come in to make that happen.
Yes, I also think, partly believe quite a bit into that now. Me and my partner, both of us, we have started slowly going into that spirituality a little bit, and we have been reading certain things, and we also have started having that feeling that, somehow, I mean, although I'm not like an active rescuer, I mean, I'm not really on the field job, but I somehow get to connect someone to the right person at the right time, and somehow that dog gets saved from that situation. It happened in all the cases of that bulldog and the pug and the retriever, which was found last year, couple of days back. and they all came to me directly. Correct. And then I posted about it in the groups, and then somewhere I found the connect, and then I got them like a home or like a foster or a temporary arrangement. So I feel even if I'm not able to directly get into it according to whatever my capacity or bandwidth is at the moment, I'm still able to connect them to the right
that is
home.
important too, very important.
Yes, and I feel like my journey is more into this speaking and awareness and all of that. So I'm trying to do that, and definitely want to have more dogs when we have a bigger place, maybe. Yeah. So okay, let me find more questions. So we'll now switch to a little about your work as like a thinking from a community point of view. So you often collaborate with NGOs for sterilization, vaccination drives. What are some of the things you have learned about community involvement and responsibility, and how impactful it can be?
I think it's very important, because I think as individual rescuers, we can only do that much, but you need some support from the rest. And also we need that, what do you say, we need someone to share with our troubles and vent out sometimes. And it I think it has, for us, it has always worked well, working with this thing, because I think it's important. Community.
And luckily for us, where we stay in Akshaynagar, it's an excellent community.
That's great.
Excellent means far beyond what I would think city life people. We have this notion of city life people. They are very busy, and you don't have time for other things. Akshaynagar in particular,
we have a WhatsApp group of pet parents, because it's not an apartment group, but it's like
a locality.
Because there are a lot of independent houses.
Beyond the rescuer community dog groups, specifically for
rescues or feeding
kind of thing, or canine squad kind.
Okay.
This is
Akshaynagar is not exactly a canine squad thing, the ones, but this is people who are either feeding,
like genuine caretakers and caregivers.
And also who have pets, who are pet parents. It started out as a pet parents group, and then, but a lot of the pet parents also take care of streeties and do rescues. So this has become a really lovely network now for us. So if somebody posts saying, I saw this dog here, can, somebody brings a car, and then takes the car thing, and they said, okay, let's go. Or they'll say, or somebody else says, hey, no, I'm taking care of this dog. I'm already giving medicines, don't give. So it's like this, lovely network which is there.
That's amazing.
It's gone missing for a couple of days. Somebody says,
have you seen this treaty? And then somebody,
I saw it on this cross.
Yes.
And then immediately somebody posts a location, and it's that react.
That's very good, because I mean, not to demean anybody, but I have been parts of some of the canine squad groups, and I understand it's too overwhelming because there are too many people into it. But sometimes in crucial moments, the response is not on real time. So it becomes very disappointing at that point, that if you're not able to help someone in that vicinity, in that locality. Because I'll give you an example, that retriever case, the recent one, when he was dumped near HL Road, I tried to contact a lot of people who were in and around that area, the squad groups, but nobody got back. So the lady who came, she's a friend, she's also a rescuer. She came from all the way from Horamavu, drove down to pick up the dog, because there was no other way, and because nobody was responding. So what do you do in those cases, right? I mean, you have to reach out to someone who can take an immediate action. You need these kind of community.
There's also a practical side of things.
Yes, of course.
Because once somebody gets into the rescue act, the after portion.
Yes.
What do we do after that?
You can
pick up the dog.
Medical attention.
Yeah.
And after that,
what next?
What's the long-term solution?
Yes.
The initial days of people who are just got into this, they may be very highly enthusiastic about it, and then afterwards, the bills start piling up. And then, if somebody sees the post group, I'm going to say, if I get involved, then I'm in
for the complete thing. Yeah.
Financial investment of sorts, and maybe I can't afford it.
Yes.
The beginning of the year, I might have done a couple of rescues, and
I'm done now.
Surgery is enough to deplete your bank. So nobody's going. So I wouldn't really fault anyone on the groups,
right?
To be not hands-on at some point. So everybody reaches their point of either emotionally taxed out or financially taxed out.
Yeah.
So one question I have here also, because we see a lot of these new people, like rescuers, like you said, very enthusiastic. So at times a lot of them, especially when I do these adoption drives, a lot of such people reach out, like they have these strays outside motherless and just feeding them and all, but they are not really prepared to get them in or get the vaccinations done, but they want them to be adopted and they are asking for help and all of that. So what would you want to say to those kind of people? I mean, should people fall into rescuing or start doing it if they are not prepared, or how do they take action that they are not prepared, but they love,
They want
or
to
they
do
have the
something.
compassion for the dog, or how do they handle it?
It is tough. It's not easy, because a simple thing like, let's say, okay, you get the puppy, but what if the puppy doesn't get adopted? What happens next? What is the long term? Because once you remove them from the street, bring them home, you can't put them back on the street. So what do we do next? And we know, I mean, it's a very real pain that indie puppies don't find homes. Okay, I mean, very lucky few get homes, and many of them are waiting for 3-4 years. They've been going to adoption drives from they were puppies, and they are still like 3-4 years old and still not found homes. And then who takes the burden? Because everybody can't keep them at home. So then you have to find a foster or a paid foster. I mean, finding a free foster now is like very difficult.
People have made a business out of that also.
And fosters have already got their hands full. And then you go to a paid foster, you have to pay, shell out a lot. And sometimes it is these students who want to help, and they don't have the money. I mean, parents are not going to give them money for this.
Correct.
So it's tough. I wish the community can come together a little more, at least financially, like
help and share
some crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding helps to a certain extent, but along with crowdfunding comes the other aspect of it, where people see this crowdfunding succeeding and they do unnecessary rescues.
I mean, we have a thing about that people rescue dogs that don't need rescue.
I feel same about that. Sometimes they don't need to be.
A lot of these indies particularly can survive on the street. All you need to worry is once in a year vaccination.
Feeding
them.
And feeding probably once in 3 days.
Right.
Because somebody or the other...
You feed it every day, then you're making it dependent on it. You should allow it to fend for its own.
Yes. Because they are on the streets and they have to learn that foraging. They have to have that foraging skills.
Right. So they have to have and in Bangalore, what I have personally observed is a lot of the small hand cart people and the kebab shops. At the end of the day, those guys are really compassionate. They give them a lot of scrap. The leftovers and the scrap.
Yes. That's good enough.
They get their fill of stuff. So you should not be intervening unnecessarily.
In their natural process. Because I mean, and I also believe that, and I see that a lot, and of late the amount of abandonment that happens. So mostly I see if people are interested in taking indies home, they do, but they don't end up abandoning so much if they've already adopted an indie. But the abandonment is, as we see, happens with the breed puppies. So I have started feeling that indies who are born on the streets, and like you were saying, sometimes some of them don't need rescuing, but because they will develop the skills of surviving on the streets. But what happens to these dogs who are bought from breeders? They never know how to survive on the streets.
The thing is, you have to basically run awareness of people who are bringing and adopting that. Okay, you get a breed dog, it's going to grow big. It's going to be 30 or 35 kgs. You need to be 70 or 80 kgs to take it for a walk. Can you do that? And when you hit your 45 or 50, you're no longer going to be able to do that.
So I feel strongly that you have to be physically and mentally prepared.
So people, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, but they're very short-sighted.
So when we
100%.
That's one of the things. Rather, she does most of the time. I usually went for the house check part of it.
No, that's amazing. See, that's what I didn't know this about you doing the assessment, house assessment, and the
we do that.
people assessment, because that's why I keep saying everyone should do their own bit.
Yes.
And you do it silently, but you should probably speak more about it.
So it has happened that even we have done house checks for not even our rescues.
Right.
So, for example, there are other, rescuers and adoption coordinators. For South Bangalore, they ask us. They said, "Can
Very
you go
nice.
and do a house
Lovely.
check for them?" Because they kind of trust us to ask the right
Yes,
questions
yes.
and
100%.
and get an assessment.
You
from
know,
them.
they know for sure with the experience you have, you will have that insight. I have also recently started doing house checks. I have, especially for these young girls and
Yeah.
boys who are college students or just like new work, started just the working life, and they have ended up adopting
Yeah.
a lot of these dogs. Okay, and but they are not great judgments of great judges of character or understanding which house is the best suit.
Yeah.
So some of them then who know me come to me, and I've done like a couple of
Yeah,
them
yeah.
where I've gone with them to the houses and done the initial assessment and all of that. So
we kind of over our first 5 or 6 adoptions, a couple of them went wrong. In the sense that
we have also learned along the way.
Of course.
returns happened within like 2 weeks.
Of
And
course.
that's when we kind of refined
And
how do we
yeah,
The
judge
screening
the
is become
screening process.
So it's not only the person who's adopted.
Yeah.
It should be the other
Family.
family.
The family.
Are they on the
100%.
same page?
Yeah.
Is the house puppy proofed or dog proofed?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference in that.
Of course.
And then
Yeah.
somebody has a balcony. If the
Yeah.
balcony has gaps in the railings.
Yeah.
For a big dog, it's fine, but for a puppy, it's not
It's
fine.
not fine. Absolutely.
So
These are very
These
important.
kind of things you get to know only when you do a house check.
And when he talked about counseling, so we in fact discourage people when people are very enthusiastic about adopting. We actually tell them all the negative things,
Of course.
so that they then make an informed decision, saying that in spite of this, are we going ahead with this? Because first timers especially, we tell them this is the reality.
With first timers is one, especially if they are in the IT field.
Yes.
No? Are you planning to immigrate to Australia? Or what if your company sends you on deputation for
Right.
6 months?
Right.
Who's going to take care?
Yes.
Or are you going to relocate, take the dog along?
Yeah.
That's one kind.
Yeah.
Other one is somebody who's not married. If you get married, is the new
What's gonna
daughter-in-law
happen?
going to be, or
Yeah.
or the in-laws or whoever it is,
Would
the
be
new
accepting
one who
of it.
comes in says, okay, that's a deal breaker for me.
Yes. Yes.
They might agree to marry, and 3 months down the line, it's me or
The dog.
the dog.
I know. I mean, I think these are
situations.
very valid and very, very important questions.
Similarly, with new baby comes along, the
Mm.
pediatricians most of the time say that having a dog in the house is not good for them.
Yes.
Our personal experience and among friends we have who had this thing, having a sibling, a four-legged sibling,
Yeah.
completely changes the way how
The
the
baby.
child grows up.
The entire
The
dynamic
child grows
changes.
up a lot more empathetic
Of course.
and a lot
100%.
more responsible. When we have our own foster, Inji was.
It's
was
10 years.
adopted.
10 years since
10
she
years
got
now.
adopted. She was one of our earlier
When she was
fosters.
adopted, the kid was probably upper KG or first grade or something, 5 or 6 years old. We have seen the entire transition
Yes.
And
of the sibling, literally
them growing
siblings.
together.
Yes.
Lovely it is. Including NGOs was involved in her school projects. So
Static electricity.
she would make.
We have this kid blowing up a balloon, rubbing it on Inji's butt, and showing piece of paper sticking onto the balloon.
Oh my God.
She was part of the whole thing. She was there, and that kid has influenced so many other of her classmates.
Of course. That's why the concept of going to schools and doing it for people who don't have pets, they can consider it. And like I always say that it's okay if you are not in a position to adopt, but just the simple act of going and feeding and having some kind of an interaction and bond with the street dogs also teaches them about empathy. That's what we are trying to do. It's a long journey.
So this
Hopefully.
is what I was talking about was the initial part, adjustment factors. Then comes the geriatric part of it. What happens when your dog gets old? So we had 3 losses last 5 years. One was young, badly old, but other 2 were they lived a senior life.
Right.
But you still have to deal with the last stages.
Of course.
Are you mentally strong enough, or have you even thought about it?
I think that is what is important,
That's part of the counseling. We'll say, you got this puppy now, healthy puppy, whatever, and then when it's 10 or 11 or 12, they're going to get arthritis, they're not going to be able to move, they get incontinence, probably a
Blind
failure,
and
blind,
Correct.
deaf.
They have whatever.
Are you okay with it?
There is no old age home you can stick them into.
Of course.
Right?
That's what I mean. That's why it's very important.
So this is a responsibility you're signing on
for life, for that animal's life. That is why it's very important. Sometimes I see all these young rescuers. They are all, of course, they do a great job by rescuing and getting them rehabilitated and treated and all. But they're also sometimes in a hurry to get them adopted, especially some of them whom I encounter in the adoption drives. They're always in a hurry, and I always say, it's okay. You don't have to get them adopted right now, but you build the connect. You connect with them outside this event today, and then you form a bond and see how do all these checks that you spoke about. I think it's so important. Take it slow. And sometimes I also see some rescuers building up this 5-page forms, and you let the dog get adopted with the form. But like you said, this face-to-face counseling, sitting and discussing and understanding is I think that's the right way to do it, because and that's the assessment process, right?
Yes.
That
and
needs to
we
be
have
done.
refined it as
That's very
years have
important.
gone
That
on.
needs to be
When
done.
you do a house check, what I used to take Momo along, because nothing like how they treat a stranger dog. That tells you a lot of things.
Yes.
And someone who wants a puppy, and then we take this older dog, and then we want to see how they
react
handle it. So if they're scared and they, no, I said your puppy is going to grow up to this.
like
Are you
that.
going to be okay
I think
with it?
it's so important, ma'am. I think, I think you guys should talk about it more or write about it, whatever works for you. These are the protocols that has to be really done in person, because you can actually literally make an SOP out of it and give it to rescuers who are getting into this journey, new ones, for them to understand, because of course you have also learned all of this through your own experience.
Exactly. That's what it is. I mean, we've trial and error.
Another very fun question that I have for you. You wrote a letter, you had mentioned you wrote a letter to the Deccan Herald in your student years that shows deep conviction even then. Do you remember what you felt then, and like when you saw it published and everything? And tell us a little bit about that letter also, what it was.
At that particular time, there was a lot of, I think nothing has changed in all these years. So what we recently had this thing about stray dogs are a menace and they should be eliminated and all that. That happened in the 80s too. Even though there were not that many dogs on the road and all, but there were some haters.
Yes.
And somebody had written a letter to the editor about it, saying that these stray dogs are a menace and they should be shot dead or something like that. That was the thing, saying they don't allow us to walk and all that stuff. I remember reading this letter and I went to my dad and I told him, how can people be like this? How can they talk like this? It's a life, and no, just because one dog has bitten, how can they paint all dogs as bad? Because I knew, how they were, because we used to feed streeties outside our home, and I knew that they're all of them like that. Then I told my dad, then he said, if you feel so strongly, you should write a letter. You write it back to them. I said, they won't publish it. They said, you try, you do your best. If they don't publish it, that's fine, but you should do your thing. You feel good about it. I sat and I composed it, and all my anger against it went into the letter, basically saying that the city is not just for humans. It has got, the animals are also there in it, and who are we to decide to kill the dogs? Because they were using the word culling, dog culling, and all that, saying that corporation should do this and all that. I said, who are we to do it? Who gave us the right to decide on that thing? And I said, have you ever, I don't know what all I wrote, I can't remember. I wish I had a cutting of it with me, because so basically I said, have you tried becoming friendly with the dog? Have you tried feeding the dog? Isn't that a better way of handling than throwing stones on them and trying to hit them? No wonder they'll come to bite you if you do that and all. I think I put all my thing. I think for my age, I think I use a lot more angry words. Yes, there. And I said, you people, like, you should be ashamed of yourself for talking about culling.
How old were you that time?
I think I was in 11th or 12th grade.
Oh, wow.
11th or 12th grade. Because it was I remember it was in Bangalore. So I had finished my 10th and come, and it was either 11th or 12th. And when it got, I think when my dad would be the first person to read the paper, right? He saw it and said, he called me and said,
it was a surprise.
Yeah,
You didn't know.
because those days they don't inform you saying that your letter is going to be published or not. You kind of buy the paper and then you check,
See
right?
it, yeah.
My father said, hey, your letter's got, and he was so proud. So my father was more proud than anybody. He said that, wow, see, and he said, see, it made a difference.
Yes.
See, they found it important enough to publish it.
Yes.
Because they wanted both viewpoints. They wanted the other person's thing, and now they have put your viewpoint. And I went around. My father, more than me, I think my father was showing off to everybody, saying Lalita's letter got published in the thing.
Wow, that would have been a very big thing in those times.
Days.
Of course, now we have to run after media to come cover such events.
And letter to the editor is a very important thing, right? It comes the center of the paper. And those days, it was like a prime big space there. Yeah, I was very I was very happy, and it was something I felt very strongly about. I think, which is why I could write that kind of letter, because I very strongly felt about it. Like I said, there's been a lot of love for animals on both sides of my family, like my mom and dad.
Yes. And from such a young age, you've been very vocal.
We've been so in fact, we had 2 dogs, indie dogs in Delhi, because I spent part of my childhood there. So when we got them in Delhi, they were orphaned puppies in my dad's office garage, and they came home, and when we moved to Bangalore, we brought them with us.
Oh, wow.
Back in those days, it was unheard of.
Yes.
We actually brought them by flight.
Now we see people relocating and they just want to give up.
When my dad was planning this whole thing, his colleague said, why are you taking your dog to Bangalore? Leave it here, in the sense, give it to some family here is what my father immediately said, no way, they're my daughters. I'm not leaving them. And I mean, when I think about it, basically, that's the role model I had.
Sure.
Saying, we won't give up.
And we need role models like this, like you guys, for everyone. I think it's so important, especially for kids to know, kids of this age, like the teenage group, to see elderly people of their parents' generation that are doing this even now. And you guys started when you were children yourselves, right? That's something so important.
So I had like a head start, I would say, because already I was seeing it happening. And even when I was in school and I was in college, my brother had a sales job, and he would go on in his moped everywhere. And then he would just come back with some puppy and said it was about to come under my vehicle, I looked around, there was no mother. I didn't know what to do, and I brought it. And he has to have that bag, and he'll put it in the thing and come up. And then he'll bring it to me and say, you have to take care. He'll tell me. And I was in college, and we had this, I was literally forced into it, I would say, taking care of these things. And we would find homes for the puppies. And so back then we started it.
Even me and Abhishek, we used to travel a lot before we started Oh My Dog and had our pets. And every travel we went just for a holiday, we would always have an encounter with something like a thrown puppy about to die or something like that. And I remember getting the puppies back into our Airbnb and hiding them. And the next day finding like a place to, like a shelter or something. We've done that couple of times. And a few times I think we were going to Pondicherry, and there was an injured puppy in the middle of the road, and it was raining, and the puppy just didn't know how to move. All you had to do was pick up the puppy, put them on the side, and then they just limped and found their way back. But nobody was doing it. For us also, especially I would say for me, it is like that. Even now when I sit in the car and we are driving, I keep instructing, there's a puppy there, and he gets irritated. He's like, let me drive, I can see. But I'm like, no, what if you can't see? What if you miss it by mistake? Just there's a left side, right side. I keep doing this even today.
And back in those days, there was no social media or anything. We did everything physically. I remember we would tell our vet that we found this puppy. Can you find a home? So then he would spread the word amongst this thing, and then he would find homes. We've done those kind of things, or some relative or somebody, some maids.
That's why my focus is so much to teach this, like to aware the children, because what I find when I see children here, also when I take my dogs out and all, they have their starting is with this fear only. The first encounter with an animal, a dog or a cat or whatever, although there are so many around our locality, is the fear. I try to, whenever they come to interact with Miney Momo downstairs, because a lot of kids do, and I see parents calling them back, I always tell them, if you want to meet, come slowly, sit. I will also sit. And then you slowly come to them. Don't run and come to them. And then I see a lot of kids also, they're just trying to have fun by barking at them. And I stop them. And I think everyone should not rudely, politely, you shouldn't do this. If you make this barking noise, they will bark back at you, because that's the only speech they have. Some children understand, and I think nowadays children are so smart. They already know, but you have to make them aware that what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And this good touch, bad touch concept that students are taught at school, it should also be applicable to how humans are touching animals.
And
so
also,
that
I think the conditioning, I see most children,
needs
like
to
you said, the
change.
fear is because the parents are scared.
Yes. Needs
So
to,
I think it
you
comes
won't
down to-
believe it. When I went to this preschools, I carried them, but I also carried a soft toy dog. And there were so little children, of course, they can't hold the dog. So I gave the soft toy, I was giving the soft toy dogs to the kids and told them to each hold the puppy and say something nice. Lots of kids were even afraid to touch that soft toy puppy. But then I said, this is not a live puppy, this is a toy. They are just paranoid with the image of a dog. That's something which has to change. That's where it stems from, the fear.
I will tell you this anecdote. We have this small, what do you call, Montessori or whatever in our area. When I was walking our dogs, the kids, they'll come to the gate and they will look, because we'll be passing by. There's 3 dogs I'm walking, and I think it was Momo, Snowy, and Dumbledore. And this one they'd all come. So then I heard the teacher saying, come inside, otherwise the dogs will bite you. And I just like totally
hear it so many times.
I got so pissed off. I went there to the kids and said, if you behave well, the dogs will come and play with you. So I completely changed it. I said that if you're good, then this one will come. And I just glared at that teacher and came and said, you're teaching all the wrong things to them.
Because that's what we talk in the school, because a lot of kids ask that, ma'am, I have this many dog in my locality. Why do they always bark at you and all? I tell them, are you sure they are being fed? Because, and I tell them that if they are empty stomach, if they have an injury and they are not treated and taken care of it, they are going to be aggressive. I tell them that, but if you feed them regularly and someone notices an injury and takes them and gets it treated, they will be belly full. Once they have had food, they will go to sleep. They will not disturb you at all.
Educating the adults.
Yes, 100%.
Kids learn by emulating.
Yes, of course.
So
of
like
course.
we talked about one preschool. On our daily walks, we pass by another preschool where the situation is totally opposite. The lady who manages the preschool, she's a big doctor. And her kids, the kids going to that preschool, they come up, you can see them peeping out of the windows and then waving
at the dogs.
That's what I mean. Awareness definitely for children, it's important. That's why right now, because we have access to the schools, we are expecting that at least the grown-up children will go and talk to their parents about it. And the purpose of trying to reach out to corporates is to target the adults, but we haven't cracked that as of now, because even when I was working in a corporate, I had realized that there are almost no CSR activity which is related to animal welfare. Most of it is human welfare and the green of the world and all of that, but nothing to do with animal welfare. That's also something I'm pushing for. Let's see if it works out. All right. So for Ramki sir, I have one question for you. A couple of like this question. Many men love animals, but few engage so actively in welfare and fostering. What broke that barrier for you and made you participate rather than just care? And also how the partnership that you both have, how this shared partnership of loving and caring for animals changed your dynamic as a couple as well.
For me, my childhood experience with my first dog, that kind of built the foundation. And of course, I had to get my brownie points with her. It's this thing, the reality of how things evolve. So this is how I can get my brownie points.
And he says domestic peace. He says for the sake of domestic peace.
That's how it started. At some point, I realized this was actually a satisfying.
Yes, definitely.
Once you get into that, then there is no stop.
Yes. I think for me, my partner Abhishek, he is like a very hard worker in job and everything. When before I got them home, I started getting him habituated by going to Cuba. Every weekend I would be like, let's go spend some time. And slowly, and with him also, it's very naturally, I think most of the dogs come to him naturally. And he started feeling, oh my God, for that 1 hour, he just forgets everything else. And so when Miney and Momo came into the picture, it was a natural transition for him, because now also when he comes back from work, no matter what happens, these two are there to greet him with, as him, they're seeing him every day, but every day is like, I'm seeing you after so long. That takes away the entire.
That is one feeling.
Yes.
Coming back home and your own pets. The other one is, you get in a foster, you see the change in the foster.
Yes, 100%.
And, that feeling of we are the cause of this change.
Yes, that's a huge thing. Yes. And that you've been able to impact a living being's life and changed it for better, and change their that I think dogs who are rescued and comes from abusive background or traumatic background, for them to come and feel safe in your house, especially when I see Momo, because more than Miney, she comes from a traumatic background, and I see her lying belly up. I just know she feels so safe here, and that the fact that we've been able to do that for them, to make them feel like that, is the greatest achievement, I would say, for the entire journey that you've both been through.
And he is a pretty, I think fosters just love him, and he has a technique with them, and they take great pictures together for me to put for adoption posts. A lot of people say, where's the lucky photo? Because if I put a photo with him and the puppy, I feel like that gets attention and the puppy gets adopted.
I think it's just very calm when you look at him. You, of course, with you, it's more like this lively, and this, and with him, it was like very zen and calm. And I think dogs take that.
Post-retirement, a lot of my colleagues of my age, talking about the senior citizen category, 60 plus, everybody finds religion and Vedanta. For me, mentally, I'm not cut off for that. Right? For me, I said, you guys have your Vedanta, you want to feel you're serving some purpose, something, fine, you go on. For me,
this is the purpose.
This is my Vedanta.
Yes, 100%, 100%. This is what even I feel like. Recently, we have started exploring spirituality. So we've just started going to ISKCON and attending some of the classes. Well, whereas some of it makes sense, especially when they refer to things like all the gods and goddesses who are mythologically, who has animals attached to them, like Lord Ganesha or other Bhairava, who with the dog thing, that connects with us. And we talk about how for us the purpose is to serve animals in whatever way possible for us. For us, I feel like we get all the positive energy and all the positive karma from doing that. And I don't care like what else the scriptures says, but that's what we find our purpose.
You take what you would like about it and go with it. That's exactly, I think, at the end of the day, that is one topic that we don't get tired of talking about, and that's what we bond over. I think so that it's here to stay between us.
One very important question I wanted to ask you guys, but like you all were saying that both of you have had these phases of fostering different dogs with different backgrounds. First, say it was just the neonatal phase, and then you've had dogs who are grown-ups, then some coming with physical trauma, some coming with emotional. So basically, most of those phases you've gone through. How do you manage your emotional state? I'm sure it takes a toll at times, right? When you've lost some dogs, or when you come across cases that they have had severe injuries or abuse, etc. How does it impact your mental health? What do you do to keep yourself stable mentally?
It does. I'm the more emotional one. I think somehow we do a balancing act. So when I feel overwhelmed or hopeless, I could say, I think then he becomes a strong one and lifts me up and says no thing. And then ultimately we realize that if it is something that is beyond our control, then I think we have reached that stage where we said we've done our best, but beyond this it's not possible. Then we reconcile to the fact that we give as much love as we can, but if it is not going to work out, we have to this thing. But yes, it does. Obviously, we are all empaths, right? We see an animal in pain and we feel the pain. It is difficult. It is very, very difficult. Sometimes you have to detach yourself to be a little objective about it so that you can actually care. Otherwise, you're ending up crying the whole day thinking about the thing. For example, when we got Bolt home, he's had a very traumatic life before. And every time I would look at him and I would start crying. I would just think, my gosh, what all have you gone through? What all have you gone through? And then, of course, it's tears of relief also that now he's with us. But it becomes.
She is more susceptible that way.
Okay.
And so for me, I've steeled myself to, for lack of a better word, shit happens. Just deal with it and move on. How can you make a difference going forward? Why dwell on the past?
Yes.
Why dwell on the past works very well. It is futile. What can you do for the now? That's one part of it. There have been times when I have to snatch your phone away and then keep it away for the rest of the day. Now there's enough social media.
So detach yourself.
Horror which affects you. What you want to feed on that horror.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
gone through that thing where I've gone through depression because of things I read about animals. I said, how can they do that?
I think it has happened with me also.
Yeah.
I've had my experiences, but I think my anxiety flared up after I started being part of these groups. And every morning I wake up looking at some very bad incident or go to bed looking at another one. And it has flared up my traumas. It has flared up my anxiety so much that I ended up having a epileptic seizure in a school while I was about to have a workshop, because I was so constantly into it, constantly doing the adoption drive awareness. It took a toll on me. Now I try to detach myself partly for the day.
Sometimes we kind of put ourselves into that situation and we say,
I definitely feel that pain when I see any such kind of an incident happening. I literally sometimes feel it in my body, that the abuse that they would be going through.
That the thumb rule I apply is dwelling on the past doesn't help anyone. Either you
or the dog.
The other portion of it which you have to learn to deal with is the terminal cases. Because you see what's happening.
Yes.
You are carrying.
Yes.
But at some point, you are going to make a call. The PTS case.
Yes.
And there is a difference between a PTS case and a terminal case. PTS case typically will land up talking to at least a minimum of 2 to 3 vets. We have our primary vet who's right in front of our house.
Right.
He is bang on in terms of this, but still, just for the mental satisfaction, she usually sends the photos or the reports to a couple of other vets, and then say, okay, this is what
usually if it's a tumor case or those kind of things, if it's spread everywhere and we know the animal is in pain, usually this is some rescue case from the street.
So over the years, we have dealt with more than our fair share, I should say. And at least I feel it's more than our fair share of what we should. And that has taught us saying that there are certain things in life which are inevitable. All you can do is the best. How to make them the most comfortable.
Yes.
Final stages, and make them feel that there is someone. I've seen pet parents who come for a PTS and they are not even there. Sometimes she makes it a habit. We stay right opposite. Sometimes when you are visiting the hospital for some other minor checkup, we know that there is a PTS happening. She actually stands with
the parent, because the parent doesn't know what to do and is crying and things.
We have experienced that.
It's not even our excuse. It's not even our things, but we just go there. I just hold their hand and say, okay.
That's also amazing. I mean, that's also.
We haven't even seen the dog, but we're just there
for some support,
some moral support.
And I feel that exactly like you said, I feel like the universe has helped me to come there at that time. I normally would not have been there, but for that particular reason, I think I needed to be with that
person over there,
parent or a rescuer also. Sometimes it's a rescuer and it's their first rescue and they have to take this call, and then I'm there and I'm just holding their hand. And I said, I've just come there to pick up some medicine or something. And then I said, oh, and I see somebody crying there. I said, what happened? I said, this is the thing. I said, I'll stay here. Don't worry.
Wow.
And I'll stay.
That's so, that is so inspirational. Of course, we generally don't think like that, right? That people would do that. But of course, it's a huge part of you doing what you do. And obviously, that's
For
how
me,
the.
It was actually copying from what happened in our real life. I have an uncle of mine. So he was very active in the company community. And whenever there was a death in the company community, this uncle would organize the ambulance.
No.
He would organize the Samadri things and go with a bunch of volunteers to the house where the death happened. And then perform the initial rites till the
person
came in. And because person who had the loss, they
will not be in a
position.
position.
They're helpless. Their brains don't function. I had this role model there. Said somebody is having a loss, let's try to make it manageable for them. And that kind of translated into somebody is doing a PTS somewhere in the hospital, at least stand there.
Yes. That's, I wouldn't say this is a big part of being human, but not everybody can do that or think about doing something like that. Kudos to both of you. It's so amazing. I've learned so many new things about you both today. Apart from what I've myself seen, it's amazing to see this. Saida, how long is the video? There's so many
you'll have to edit a lot.
No, that's okay. So maybe one more question. Any specific question that you want to be asked?
Not necessarily. We're going with the flow. And I remember as we're talking something, then something reminds us of something else. And then we said, and both of us, I like to talk a lot.
Two more questions.
Caring for the animals. Now there is another aspect of it. Grievance. She does a lot. I mean, I don't get involved because I'm not good with words. One
day, another episode I'm going to do with grief. Maybe I'll ask you to come again and then get in another person who does grief counseling, and we can do that again, because that's a totally different. Yes.
No, because pet parents really go through 100%. A lot, and I think there's a Facebook group also.
Yes.
And in which things. So I have contributed there, as well as refer people to who have lost their pets to join the group if they're feeling thing. And I think it helps because we all feel it, right? We all know how
100%. And it's with anyone, even for humans to go through grief, to have a support system like that, like a community where you can talk about your grief openly.
See, because for human, if you've lost a human, there are enough people to give you this thing. But when you lose a pet,
not everybody understands.
That. So that's where
very few people understand, only because after all it was a dog by another dog.
Yes. Just replace it. 100%. Definitely very important. That is another topic. Absolutely. We will probably keep an episode on, because there is so much to talk about it. We'll take up two more questions to kind of sum it up. Now, one first thing that I want to ask is that if you both of you can let me know individually, if you had to describe your philosophy in one line, say as a man, woman, a rescuer, and a lifelong learner, what would it be?
Do your best. Don't be harsh on yourself, and live and let live. That is my philosophy.
I agree with the live and let live. And you're dictated by your conscience, not others' expectations.
Yes, that is so.
You don't have to answer to anybody other than your own conscience.
Yes. That is so, it makes very perfect sense, I think. At the end of the day, you don't have to be answerable to anyone except for yourself. And if young people who are listening to this and they want to start small and they want to get into this rescuing journey, maybe start with feeding or just by fostering or something, what would be your advice to them? Like anybody who wants to get into this rescuing and fostering journey, but is not prepared to take on big responsibilities and start small, what would you say to them?
Feeding and taking care of the streeties in terms of just the water bowl or minor injuries or the yearly vaccinations are a good way of, without taking on too much responsibility. I mean, I know what a foster, being a foster, that's a whole different level. Whereas just feeding, or you'll find an injured dog, take it to the hospital, get it treated, and then leave it back on the street. That's kind of a passive activity. It's not hands-on.
But that's something to start with and learn.
Because at that point you will realize what can you take on. The basic ability of saying what can I take on. I have my studies to do. There is only so much money I can spend. Right.
I think one thing is they
And
can
the other
use.
one is dealing with the peers. If a kid now gets into this, there is going to be a whole bunch of kids mocking him or her. How do you, us as people who have been in the field for a while, get them comfortable with being mocked at?
Yes.
And I think they can.
You're dealing with dirty street. And that's the typical thing.
Reaction
you get, and then people feel alienated. I think there is some work to be done on that side.
Ma'am,
And I think youngsters, what they can start off by doing is create awareness. They can use their social media skills and all for that. They can
100%.
spread word. They can talk about don't buy a puppy, but adopt. So I think just this simple message can be conveyed a lot with this, and just talking to your neighbors and tell them, please, can you keep water for the dogs outside or the cows outside. And maybe they can find out who the local rescuers are, feeders with them, work with them, like without having to take on the responsibility, but please get to observe how they do things. And then slowly you can get into it. You can basically, you're volunteering there, and then you, I'm not even talking about an NGO or anything, but individual thing. Maybe you can contact your local veterinary clinic and then find out from there who are the rescuers who come there, and then maybe take it from there. Simple things you can do. And even if you want, maybe fundraising, like children do a lot of that. They can raise funds in their apartment. They can talk about it, because I know in some for summer projects and all, they do it. So something like that, they can do that, or have a small workshop on why you should not hit street dogs.
Simple
or
things
that they can do it.
Even going to an NGO weekend once a month.
To just observe and see.
If nothing else, help groom the dog, groom the cats, or the dog. So that allows them an opportunity to learn how to interact in a controlled environment.
Correct.
They learn the right
A
things
shelter
there.
Yes.
is a reasonably controlled environment.
Yes, surely. That's, I think, for everyone who is watching this, I think this is a great message, which also we kind of talk about in the workshops, and that start with small things and start with things that children can do on their own. Like just going for a visit. A lot of schools have also asked us that they will try to arrange these day trips to some shelters and things like that. So even individually, people can do it with their parents, right?
Because volunteering at a shelter, most shelters ask for a time commitment.
Correct.
Come to us for 8 weekends, 10 weekends. That is something which, personally, I feel, given the kind of academic load and what
may not be
kids are going
possible.
through, that is not a workable thing. That requires somebody who is highly dedicated and just say, this is once in a month, I will go for a couple of hours just to make myself comfortable in the presence of
Yes. Because that's the only way for them also.
The intention is not, I'm going to be this rescuer. I just need to feel at home.
Yes.
See, most rescuers who are seasoned rescuers have started like that only. They've started in a small way. They've probably found a dog lying there, and they didn't know what to do. They
contacted someone or just picked them up and took them to a
and then
hospital.
they've learned from that and said, okay, next time I can do this. They've probably observed, saying, okay, take an old bed sheet, grab the dog, and then they learn it, and then they become experts.
That's why even when we ask for donations, I never said like donate. I always say give all for these adoption drives and all. I always tell students, give some old clothes, bed sheets, blankets, even like utensils that you are throwing away, which can be used as a plate or a bowl or something like that. That's how also what they learn. They learn so many things, not to waste food, things, and just giving it to someone else. And actually, what sometimes seems so funny to me is that people do that for orphanages. They donate old clothes, they donate books, things, right? But when it comes to animals, people think, what can we give?
Yeah.
Give the same things that you would give
Exactly.
it to a human orphanage,
Yeah.
like a pillow or a bed sheet or a newspaper or
Newspapers, yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's the part of coexistence. And like you said, rightfully said, if children go to these shelter homes, that's where they will learn. And this first step is to get themselves comfortable in around animals, to learn the part of coexisting with them. Otherwise, it'll always be very difficult. Anything else that you would want to tell our viewers in the camera?
I think don't buy breed puppies. Lives are not to be sold or bought. And please adopt if you ever want to have an animal in your life. And if you cannot adopt, then try fostering.
Yes.
It's very, very satisfying.
Yes.
And it gives you the same feeling without the, I would say, the heartache and the permanent.
Sometimes they're foster fails.
Yeah, the fear of permanent commitment is there, but at least fostering gives a very good idea of how it is having a dog or a cat, and I think it's a great thing. Please do it, because really there is this cliched line of fostering saves lives. It really does.
It does.
I think you can go ahead with that and do whatever you can. You don't have to do anything great. If nothing, just don't harm. That's it. If you can't do anything good, at least don't harm.
Just don't harm.
And don't ever lose a chance to give your voice to the voiceless, because nobody else is going to talk for them.
100%. That's what we are trying to do. Through this podcast and everything, we are trying to strike a conversation, and this is our way of voicing out for them. The animals, I wish they could sit here like us and have a conversation, but they are a part of our lives. And the sooner we learn to acknowledge that, I think the better it is. Thank you so much for coming here today and having this conversation. I'm so happy that I got you here. And we will have more discussions and more. I've also learned so many new things about you both that you have done and will be doing for the rest of your life. Thank you everyone for watching and being a part of these conversations and listening to these important things that we have to say. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel to learn and meet more such wonderful people. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
We loved it.
Thank you so much.